But folks, one of my favorite topics I love discussing with the crew. Babyface or heel. Now, for those who may not know what babyface heel means, babyface in wrestling terminology means a good guy hero. Heel means a bad guy villain. Tweener, you're in between. So I came up with a list of celebrities or athletes, and myself, Champ, and BRF are going to decide whether they are babyface, heel, or tweener. The first athlete, John Morant of the Memphis Grizzlies. I will go first. He is a tweener. He is a heel because again, he the controversy, the situation with the gun celebration, the shooting celebration. NBA Adam Silver, they just fined him for the second one. After in the Miami game, they fined him $75,000. I was kind of happy that Ja didn't have to face a suspension. He was going to be put on notice, considering that the NBA, which they're taking into consideration, just like the NFL, with the celebrations. Remember, CD Lamb's celebration, the nose wipe celebration, they can't do that anymore. That's a gang connotation. So the first time with John Morant, you give him the benefit of the doubt. I thought he was going to be at least fine, champ. You and I, we had private conversations about the first time, but I was kind of glad that Commissioner Adam Silver decided not to fine him nor suspend him. But he did it again. Last night against the Miami Heat, he was going to be fined $75,000. And when you look at John Morant's history, Dwayne Coleman, he said it himself best. I have the comment right here. John Morant trying to be like NBA YoungBoy because of all the gun stuff. Heck, if he continues down this road, he'll end up like Tekashi 6ix9ine. Hope not. But when I look at John Morant, tremendous talent, tremendous potential. He's put on notice. He is lucky as hell we are not talking about David Stern. Because if David Stern, if he were the commissioner, John Morant's ass would be at home right now.
20 games minimum.
But he is also a babyface. Because despite all the situations with Job, the gun situation, the first suspension was like the 8 games. And then the second one, which he was with the video in the car holding the gun, 25 games. John Morant is also a babyface because he's fun. He's exciting. He's electric. Whenever he says, it's a parade inside my city, yeah. Or him and his daughter, which is a beautiful thing to see. And sorry, Anthony Edwards, but the video of the mama telling the kid, put them Anthony Edwards sneakers back. Pay them you gonna get them John Morant sneakers. John Morant at least take care of his kids. I'm sorry, but again, they were going. That adds to the babyface with John Morant because say what you want about John Morant, at least he's around taking care of his kids. At least he's involved in his kid's life. So he does kind of have that impact on a younger generation, even though he gets involved in a lot of situations with the gun celebration. I think Ja is just young, naive, immature. He's a tweener because even though he gets himself involved with a lot of controversy, and I hope he stops because, again, he's already on thin ice with the NBA with all the other stuff. But at the same time, he's also a babyface. Kids love him. They idolize him. He's electric. His dunking ability. He's the type of person we would love to see at the dunk contest. He's the type of person. His playing style is kind of like watching a young Derrick Rose or a young Russell Westbrook in terms of how quick, how explosive he is, how athletic, how he could jump, the shoes, and on top of that, his personality. So he's a tweener.
Yeah, I gotta agree. I gotta agree with that on John Morant. I definitely think he's a tweener. Yeah, like you gotta. I guess if you want to look at the heelish aspects of the stuff that can get him booed, is just the constant warning with the gun seller, and he's still doing it, knowing past transgressions that he's been involved with. So that there is kind of like the real, the real kind of, unheart. Just I'm trying to figure out how to say it. It's kind of like that side that kind of like rubs people the wrong way, and not, do they want, would they cheer for him and all that other stuff. So that's kind of the part of him that's like you kind of look down upon and frown upon. But his game is just honestly, part of that is like, I think Don, yeah, like I just saw it on the comment there. Yeah, Jaw is gonna, like, he's gonna do his own thing. He's gonna be himself, and he's not necessarily worried about. He's not necessarily worried about, like, what people think of him and stuff like that. I think, kind of, rocking out to the beat of his own drum. As far as how he lives his life on a daily basis, kind of also makes you want to root for him as well, because it's kind of like the whole it's like him going out there doing his thing, not worried about what people are thinking about him, not worried about people judging him. He's just going out doing, playing basketball and being one of the better point guards of the league when he's healthy and he's out there. So, and that's, just his jumping ability, his highlights, like all of his like I've never seen a guy in a highlight. I've never seen a guy in a highlight film with so many almost dunks in my life. Like John Morant is like the king of the almost dunk. Like, cause either because it's almost like either he dunks it in and the foul gets called, or he's going for an in game ridiculous, putting it on somebody's head, and it don't really work out. I mean, I think his athleticism and his will, I think it's one of those things. It's like a couple of characteristics that you root for Jaw, and you want to see him succeed. So yeah, I gotta agree with PSP. I definitely think he's a tweener, because there's good and bad to Jaw, and it's like if you're not into him, a lot of times the bad stuff is what's gonna steer you away from him. But then if you root for him, it's like him being himself and living his life and all that is gonna be one of those things you really want to cheer for him for. So, but yeah, Jaw for me is a tweener.
Champ.
The 2019 draft class needs to be studied. Got one guy who is addicted to wisdom teeth and the other guy addicted to pew-pews. What's going on? What's going on? I need to know.
And you talk about my pipe bombs?
Yeah, I'm just saying. One guy addicted to wisdom teeth, don't want to stay in the gym, and the other guy just can't just stop thinking about himself as the second coming of NWA.
Chat remember me with the wisdom teeth. That's epic.
That needs to be studied. But in all seriousness, though, to be serious, I'll say tweener. As bad as I want to lean towards the heel, I'll say tweener. Because with him is really the Allen Iverson effect, if you really want me to be honest with you.
Yes.
If you ask one of the guys, from our neighborhood, hey, you like John Morant? Yeah, man, and you doing it on the court and you doing it just like him. It's like the Fab Five Allen Iverson effect with him. If you are a button-up corporate guy, you don't like John Morant. If you're one of the guys that, that was around him and his community, and the community, you love John Morant. Me personally, I literally wish that you would leave them pew-pews alone. Stop gesturing them pew-pews, because to be honest with you, and this is just me, this is not me just being an old head talking, you're costing yourself money. And you're within the next 3 years, and you're like 2 to 3 years away from that next contract. I don't want to see you ruin that because you want to keep gesturing pew-pews. I mean, I'm just saying, I don't want you to jeopardize that. It's just like, it's kind of like looking at Me watching John Morant is kind of like looking at one of my nephews. He's talented, he's great, but it's just like, bro, like leave that pew pew stuff alone. You don't need to do that. I mean, in the when he was on that IG live video with the pew pew, it's just like, bro, leave it alone. You don't need it. But generations are different. Back when I was younger, that was considered bad. Nowadays, with a lot of stuff going on, that's considered okay by collective consciousness. But like I said, if you're doing that, you're playing with fire because you're costing yourself money, not just on the basketball court, but off the basketball court. If John Morant didn't do the celebration and didn't do all of, and I love hip hop, then didn't do all the pew pew stuff, can you imagine how many endorsements he would have additionally? That's the thing. People are so against being all buttoned up until they see how much the button up guys are making. There's a reason why Michael Jordan made more money off the basketball court than he made on the basketball court. He didn't let people see him in a certain light. Now, granted, we all know that Michael Jordan used to gamble and play cards and stuff like that and smoke cigars, but that wasn't considered heinous. You have to read the room. You have to think about what's going on in the country and what has gone on in the country. BRF, you know what I'm talking about because you live in Georgia. We just had some things going on in Georgia not too long ago at a high school. We had a lot of situations that occurred in New York and in Middle America, and a lot of the biggest tragedies in American history came because of pew pews. So you have to think about that and how America, as well as a lot of fans, are looking at that. But on the flip side of that coin, if you are NBA YoungBoy fan and you see your favorite basketball player doing that as well, then guess what? You think that's cool. But if you're my age and you are worried about this young man's future and the image that he's portraying, you think that he's playing with fire. That's why I call him a tweener. Because do I think he's playing with fire? Yes. Do I think you should be doing that in public, consider what's going on? No, not at all. Because guess what? That's sending a bad image to a little 15-year-old that's at a basketball tournament right now. Do you really want your 15-year-old kids doing that? No. Are they going to because they saw John Morant do it? Yeah. So you have to think about everything as a collective when you call him a tweener. Do I want to lean towards heel? Yeah, because like I said, I think a lot of stuff is unnecessary. And if you look into John Morant's background, you're really not that guy. If you get what I'm trying to say. You're really not that the trenches type of guy. So that's just my thing. You don't have to be something that you're not. I mean, you're not gangster. And you don't have to be that. And you doing that on the basketball court and with people watching you, especially young men watching you, they're going to think that's okay. And what's going to happen if somebody, because you have to think about this, what's going to happen if a young kid does that celebration, that exact same celebration, and then a tragedy strikes after the game?
They're going to look at him as an example.
Exactly. So don't think that us old heads are just telling you stuff that, y'all just old. No, we've seen this stuff happen before. Remember, Allen Iverson was criticized a lot of time. Remember the Oakland Raiders was criticized. The Oakland Raiders themselves was criticized because of a lot of gang culture. Al Davis didn't have no idea that the Oakland Raiders jacket was being related to gang culture. But yet they blamed him for gang culture. Not to mention, people love the starter jacket. The starter jacket from back in the day, but people was actually getting unalive for that very, very jacket.
Oh, Lord.
So you have to think about every little thing when you are portraying something. Because, like I said, imagine if one of these young kids, 15, 16 years old, watching John Morant, who's probably their favorite player, got the Memphis Grizzlies jersey on. He sees him do it one night, and then the very next night, he does that. And he does it at the wrong place. Then right after, somebody gets unalived. That same kid who was 15 years old with the John Morant jersey on. Who do you think they're going to point to and blame? They're going to blame him. Now, he may not know, and he doesn't know that kid from Adam. So that's the thing. You have to think about what you're betraying when you're in these corporate settings. Like I said, there's a reason why Michael Jordan is a billionaire. There's a reason why Magic Johnson is a billionaire. There's a reason why LeBron James is a billionaire. There's a reason why, even although I disagree with some of his tactics, there's a reason why Tiger Woods became a billionaire.
Yeah.
They were very, very conscious about the way people perceived them.
Absolutely.
So, guess what? If you want that type of status, you have to watch every little thing that you do. And you pointing in the crowd as far as pew-pews is concerned, then, hey, it's going to set a bad example that people are going to label you as such. So I have to say tweener at this point.
Daddy Dennis says need to let the kids need to let kids know athletes are not clergy. Charles Barkley voice. Champ, also another reason you can make an argument here because of his father too. You should know this. I'm surprised you didn't bring this up because you a Lakers fan. Remember the situation a couple of years ago with John Morant, his father, and the Memphis Grizzlies going after Shannon Sharp at that Lakers game?
Yeah, and that's what happens when that's what happens when you have a father like that rather than having a father like Barry Sanders. Remember what Barry Sanders' daddy told him: "I ain't your friend, I'm your father." So that's what happens when you have a situation like that. Now, granted, they shook hands like me and the Bear, and they all hugged it out and sang "Kumbaya." But the thing is, a lot of situations like that is not supposed to happen. You don't see Dale Curry getting into situations like that with anybody. You don't see, I mean, even LeBron James up until he got into it with Stephen A. You don't see him conducting himself like that. Every person's father who came to the game, they kept it. They was a spectator. You didn't see them get into that. But like I said, that's what happens. And like I said, I even talked to my father about that. That's what happens. Hey, can't be these kids' friends, especially when your son have millions of dollars on the line. This millions. This is generational wealth. This is going to be here after me. You're going to have to set the tone for the next 3 generations. You don't have to act like that in the game. I mean, so what? Somebody said you can't guard somebody. Who cares? Let it go. Watch the game. Be a parent.
Mm-hmm. All right, next one, Charles Barkley. And hold on, there's a comment right there from Giants fan 56 popped in to hit the like button. Have a great stream. Thank you, Giants fan 56. Appreciate the comments. Charles Barkley, I'll go. I can understand how a lot of young people will look at Charles Barkley and say heel because kind of like Shaq, he's the grumpy old guy, get off my lawn, criticizing a lot of young players, particularly for not playing hard, not giving enough effort, because he was very critical on a lot of players, particularly the Philadelphia 76ers, Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. But he's also a baby, and also because of his political stances from time to time, some of the political stances, the things that he said in the past. But he's also a baby face. Charles Barkley, whatever you want to say about him, he's as real as it gets. Man, I agree with him, but he's as real as he gets. He doesn't give a damn what anyone has to say. And if you have a problem with what he has to say, he has no problem with you having a conversation with him. Just don't get personal with him. And not to mention, he is comical, hysterical. I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this. I love me some of them. I love me them big women, but how the way he gets after the woman in San Antonio.
You just got You gonna get her kicked off the damn bed. You gonna get her kicked off the damn bed.
The way he talks about them big old women from San Antonio.
You gonna get her kicked off the L. You gonna get us kicked.
Hey, I'm not lying, but anytime, whenever he talks about the women in San Antonio, and he talks about Victoria's Secret, and now there's a creek down there, Shaq. In all of my time watching Shaq on TV, I've never seen him laugh so hard on TV. And then, of course, I'm gonna get a lot of flack for it too, but I don't care. When he mentioned about the whole Jussie Smollett situation back in 2019.
On this episode of the City of Lies.
I'm sorry, man. Charles Barkley is hysterical. And then when he said about analytics, how folks with analytics didn't get the girls in high school.
I mean, he ain't lying when he said that, though. You know what I'm saying?
He ain't lying when he said that, but that's the thing I love about Charles Barkley. I don't know if BRF heard what I said.
No, I did not. I had to leave for a little bit. I was coming back. No, what did you say exactly?
I said Charles Barkley is a tweener. He's a heel because of the generation, the modern generation, how they look at him as the type of person, get off my front lawn, how the way he's critical of the modern players like Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, stuff like that. But he's also a tweener because he's as real as he gets. And I'm sorry, I'll say it again. The way he talks about them big old women in San Antonio and how he talks about them churros and how he talks about Victoria's Secret, how it's a creek down there. Whoever wants to go.
Oh, man. That's crazy. That is crazy. That's crazy.
Colorful.
Oh, man.
You can say
heel. I gotta say heel, but Charles has always been an anti-hero.
Yeah, though I am not a role model commercial.
Yeah, he's always been an anti-hero. He's never been the role model. Although I will say this. In the process of him saying, I am not a role model, he ended up being a role model. I'll say that again. In the process of him saying, I am not a role model, he ended up being a role model. Because what he said was true. It's kind of like, look, Charles Barkley, I say here, it's kind of like that honest uncle who's going to tell you, you don't like his delivery, but he's going to tell you every single thing that you need to know. It's kind of like that honest uncle. You don't like his delivery, but you're going to go ask him for that advice. And unfortunately, his delivery is blunt. He has no filter. And that's what makes you hate him and love him all at the same time. He's the lovable heel. You know, I mean, he was right on the money with what he said about Zion Williamson. Hey, if I was making $200 million, I'd be anorexic by now. Did he lie?
You probably would have done the same thing.
Yeah, but $200 million, I'm going to liquid diet right now. So I'm just gonna be real. I wouldn't be eating nothing but Jell-O. And I ain't even talking about the red kind. I'm talking about that green kind. I mean, that, you know, with the pineapples in it, they used to give you at school. You know, so I'm just being real. $200 million, yeah, you go on a liquid diet right now. I ain't eating nothing but soup. But he tells the truth, and it offends people at times, but it's true. And I understand that a lot of his a lot of his political beliefs and a lot of things that he says may be misplaced because guess what? A lot of times we don't want to hear it. Guess what? Just because you don't want to hear something doesn't mean you don't need to hear it. PSP, you tell me every day before, you know, because I'm on the gym. You tell me every day, stay away from the fridge. That's what I need to hear. Stay away from the fridge. You know, you and the AI Obama, y'all tell me, stay away from the fridge, big homie. I'm like, yeah, exactly. So that's why I stay away from the damn fridge.
I only brought that up because you the one who keeps being hard on your weight. You tell me my fat, you know what, all this other stuff. You brought it up.
But the thing is, I don't lie. The thing is, I'm not gonna sit around here and pretend body positive. No, in fact, I need to lose some damn weight. That's why I go. That's why I started going to the gym every day. So that's the thing. Tell the truth. I mean, we're too sensitive nowadays. It's like, bro, I'd rather you be honest with me about something than for you to lie to me and have me looking like a fool. It's kind of like, I'll give you an example. What like Kobe Bryant said. It's kind of like us being at the dinner table and I have something in my teeth and it's showing like crap. Are you ready to have that uncomfortable moment for me to tell you you have something in your teeth, or do you want to walk around the restaurant looking stupid all day?
I have to tell you, I have to call it what it is.
Exactly. I just call it like it is. I say, I don't mind making fun of it because guess what? It's true and you're doing something about it. That's just the thing. That's just the thing. I encourage it. It's like, hey, the more people say something about it, the more you're anxious to make a change. And I think that's what Charles Barkley is. It's like people may disagree, people may not agree, but guess what? He's honest. And like I said, the only thing that makes him a heel, in my humble opinion, is his tone. But like I said, he's like that uncle that you go to when you want to seek advice, when you don't want to talk to your father, when you don't want to talk to your mother. You go to that one uncle and you talk to him, and he's going to give you a blunt answer. And that answer may not be what you want to hear, but it's going to be what you need to hear. And I call him a heel because of that, because that delivery, it's sharp and it's stinging. And a lot of people, especially these days, can't handle it.
That's true.
It's evident a lot of pushback from a lot of the modern day NBA players. A lot of people can't handle that. And like I said, he never claimed to be a role model, and he was absolutely on the money. Don't depend on athletes in order to raise your children. So he was right on the money. So a lot of things he said is right on the money, but the way he goes about it sometimes, it stings. It's like, yeah, you might be right, but you could have worded that a little bit better. And that's what people are going to point at in order to label him a heel. That's why I call him a heel.
But I think he's relatable, champ, because even though he may not say it the way they want to hear it, but at the same time, if he's the type of person you want to have a conversation with, it's him. Media, they would much rather want to talk to Chuck than Michael. Michael's more quiet and shy compared to the media than Chuck. Chuck's the life of the party. Chuck's the type of person you can have a conversation with, have some pizza or beer, or in his case, driving around midnight and having himself some Krispy Kremes. By the way, that hot sign, if you go to Krispy Kremes with that hot sign, you got to stop.
I can't tell you how many red lights I've ran trying to get to that hot sign.
But yes, I understand your point, champ, as the heel, because he's the type of person that's going to give you some tough love. But I also think he's a tweener because he's relatable, he's comical, he's hysterical. I love him because he does not give a damn what he has to say. And look, for people who may question his political reasons, look, a very certain individual who we all love and revere as a wrestler, The Undertaker. Now, I don't agree with his position regarding the president, but at the same time, is that going to stop me from having a conversation with him about wrestling or anything else? No, I'm still going to have a conversation with him because Taker's a man of integrity. It's not like I'm having a conversation with Hulk Hogan or somebody like that. Whereas with Taker's a man of his word. And Charles Barkley, say what you want, he's a man of his word. He's also Charles Barkley, he's a tweener because he's real. There's nothing fake about him.
Yes.
He's authentic. I mean, he's funny, he's hysterical. The round mound of rebound, the love Crisco, all the nicknames he had during his time in Auburn. Remember all those nicknames that he had?
Yeah,
remember
the bread truck.
The bread truck. Remember the story in which he tried to avoid being drafted by the Philadelphia 76ers? How he went to
my God. He went out there and ate 3 all-star breakfasts from Denny's age. He gained about 30 pounds.
But Charles, man, I mean, he's funny. I mean, let's not forget the steam room. How he talked about he had the bracelet in his but that's about the thing is, and to your point, Champ, he doesn't take himself that too seriously at times. He's funny for a big guy. He's hysterical, and he's a big guy himself.
Yeah.
And he also has an underdog story because, again, he's not a prototypical power forward at 6'10", 6'11". Chuck is about 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah.
But for a guy at 6'4", 250, 260, 280, or whatever he weighed, and for him to move like that and to get rebounds and to also play make as well, that's what made Chuck so unique as a player and as an athlete. BRF.
Chuck's a tween. He's a tweener, but he's one of the lovable. For me, he's one of the lovable ones though, because I mean, you pretty much hit all the valid bullet points there are to this. Like he is one of those that are just gonna, like, how we say, how they say nowadays, sorry not sorry. He's one of those that's gonna tell you what you need to hear, and sorry, and he's sorry not sorry. He's not worried about that. It's like he just wants to I don't know. It's just like some of the greatest, honestly, some of the greatest comedy I've ever seen on any TV show is like his inside the NBA like moments and nostalgia. Like you like there's like I pulled up some videos and whatnot of like some of like his best moments, and I mean it's like going, man, it's just like one of my favorite ones. One of my favorite ones, one of my favorite ones from inside the NBA was the gosh, I hate to say it, but I'm with you. It was the Jesse Smollett one when he
Yeah.
was he talking about do not take bribes with checks.
Checks. If you're gonna break the
You're
law,
gonna break the law. You do it with cash. Do not write a check. I'm like, oh god, oh man. And hold on, what was that other part they said about no? Like, what's the one thing that you didn't think you would see before the season ended? And he was like, what did he say? Two black guys beat the black guy up.
Oh,
I'm like, Chuck, I know you, bro. Like, bro, you did. I'm like, Chuck, you did not say that on the air, bro.
or
Oh
when
my
he tries to
god.
learn how to speak Spanish.
No, it was no what it was. No, what it was. He was talking about. I remember that segment. He was talking about. Talking about he should go to ESPN, and he was like, oh, "Man, I'm not about to go to ESPN and do all that work, and for them to not pay me,
Work me like a dog.
work me like a dog, and not pay me." He said, "He's like, no,
Remember?
I'm gonna be on ESPN Deportes. So I'm gonna be like, muy bien, gracias."
hey,
Oh,
that's crazy.
yeah, but he's a tween. But yeah, Chuck for me is a tweener, and I feel like his humor, his humor definitely leans more on the babyface side because I don't care who you are. Anybody that's as funny as Chuck, you gonna get behind. You gonna like you gonna get behind him. You're gonna root for him. You're gonna watch him. You're gonna enjoy what he has to say. Anybody as comedic as Chuck, you're gonna root behind. You're gonna root for him. And yeah,
We
he's just
got
one of those.
you got something right here.
Oh my
Chuck
Uh-oh.
can do that right now.
entertainment in Houston.
I bet you couldn't do that to them big ass women in San Antonio.
Oh, you're not even in San
No,
Antonio.
you could do that to them little skinny Houston.
Oh,
You can't do that to big old women in San Antonio. Why not? Just like you kick one of them big old women in San Antonio, they'll be fly through.
what about Victoria's Secret?
Oh, Victoria's Secret down there.
Oh man. I'm sorry. I love me some Chuck, man. He's I'm sorry, man. He's hysterical. He's hysterical, man.
Y'all remember? What y'all need to watch is that Ari Spears impersonation of you need to watch. No, y'all need to watch that Ari Spears version of his
He
impersonation
killed
of
Charles
Charles
Barkley,
Barkley.
bro.
He said remember when he said, Charles Barkley is by the box to play a Marco Polo is not on the same accord. You know how you impersonate Charles. The famous song, let me tell you something. Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant, Kobe, everybody know Kobe, greatest player. Let me tell you something. Everybody know Kobe, and then and Aaron Spears finished it up. He started talking about stuff that ain't got nothing to do with basketball. Krispy Kreme donuts that's round like a rim, got a hole in it. Let me tell you something. He killed me saying that. Let me tell you something. It's funny how us Southerners have that humor.
You should have seen. Have you seen Frank Caliendo's impersonation of Charles?
Man, that's lovely.
Yes. He kills it too.
Lovely.
He kills it too.
that is lovely. Hey man, look, man, that Southern charm, something serious, man. You can go all the way from Muhammad Ali to Charles Barkley to Shannon Sharp, man. That Southern charm, something serious, man. If anything, two things a Southerner knows how to do, man. We know how to cook and we know how to make you laugh. So, hey,
Nothing
man.
better than Southern hospitality.
Exactly. So, yeah, man. Southern, you can't beat it, man. But like I said, man, that Southern humor is something else. Like I said, even it goes back to Muhammad Ali, even Reggie White.
Mm-hmm.
Reggie White impersonate, certain celebrities right in front of him. So, I mean, like I said, you can tell you a joke and we can be serious when it's time to be serious, man. Gotta love that Southern charm.
All right, this next one, controversial one. I hope y'all sitting on your chairs. Champ is gonna go first. Deshaun Watson.
Next. I don't even know. PSP, love you to life. You're like a brother to me. Deshaun Watson, you made it too easy for us today. Deshaun, come on, man. You out there, you up in Cleveland stealing money right about now, man. Come on, bro. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I mean, I'ma just be real. Let's just be honest. When a player does something wrong, especially in the NFL, his play can make you forget it. I'm going to say that again. When an NFL player, especially in the National Football League, when they do something wrong, their play will sort of make you forget it. And we can name a lot of examples when it comes to that. People don't remember that Jamal Lewis got in trouble and had to do, about certain things during the offseason. People don't remember that. They remember the 2,000-yard season and the fact he led the Baltimore Ravens to a Super Bowl and was the stable of their franchise for a while. People don't remember the Dante Stallworth situation.
Yep.
People don't remember a lot of things when you think about Ray Lewis, what he did, what happened. I'm not going to say what he did because he got proven innocent. The only thing he got convicted for was obstruction of justice. When you think about Ray Lewis, what happened in Atlanta because he's so great, it's almost secondary. Now, if you just want to go out there nitpicking, you can. But when you are great, you almost make people forget about the transgressions that you've had. Look at Mike Vick. The transgressions that he had and how he was able to redeem himself. So with Deshaun Watson, I call him a heel, not just because of the things that he's did, but the thing is, you act like you don't care. It's like you don't care. Like I said, if you want to know what a person cares about, look no further than their social media pages. When you see each and every last one of our social media pages, You see something about education. You see something about sports. You see something about sports, something about the podcast, something about history. That's what we care about. When you see Deshaun Watson's page, if you go look at it, it don't have nothing to do with football. You might see a workout video here and there, but it ain't nothing to do with football. It's almost as if you are more focused on being a celebrity than being a football player. It's like you love what football brings to you. You know you don't love the game. You love what it brings to you. You love what it does for you. You love the invitation to the golf course, the fact that your name rings out among, being as far as being an NFL player. But it's just like you don't love the game. And like I said, had he came to Cleveland, conducted himself in a certain way, made sure that he, kept his nose clean and everything like that, I think it would have been a lot better. But since he didn't, and you still had things coming out, and they're looking into still trying to recoup some of the money that he had, because there's rumor has it that he didn't have his walking boot on when he re-aggravated his Achilles. So the fact that you had all of this stuff on your head, you missed 2 years of football, you get back, you don't perform, and then it's almost as if you didn't care. Not to mention, let's just go here. Had it not been for Deshaun Watson screwing up as bad as he did, a hell of a lot more NFL players, he would have set a new precedent in the NFL for fully guaranteed contracts. He would have set a precedent for fully guaranteed contracts. If he would have, because you have to think about this, your actions not only affect you, it affects everybody. If he would have came out and performed, now you can't help that you got injured, but if you would have came out and been performing and doing everything that you needed to do, performing on the field, being a model citizen, doing community service, holding community events, sort of like Michael Vick was doing, guess what? You would have set a new precedent for guaranteed contracts. We will see a new era in the NFL as far as salary is concerned. And guess what? We could partially blame him for Lamar Jackson and a lot of these other players not getting fully guaranteed contracts because of him. We could have saw an era going into the future. Had he gone to Cleveland and at least made the playoffs and made the Pro Bowl, you would have saw a whole new era of guaranteed contracts. I'm convinced of it. But because he went to Cleveland, didn't do what he was supposed to, and even then there was some controversy on his rehab and him being on the sidelines with his teammates when he had the injury to his shoulder last year. He chose to sit up in the press box rather than be on the sideline. So with the things that you have done, and you've acted like you didn't care, how you have conducted yourself, what you have done to not only cost yourself, but cost others, I have to put you in a heel situation. At one point, Deshaun Watson had the world at his feet when he was at Texas in Houston.
Before he was a babyface, because remember, before all them accusations, his head coach Dabo Swinney said, "If you passing up on him, it's like you're passing up on Michael Jordan."
Yeah, and in the first 4 years of his career, he proved that.
And people forgotten how great he was his rookie year. Had it not been for that ACL injury, he would have won Offensive Rookie of the Year. At one point, he wasn't even in discussion for MVP.
Yes. So the fact that it's just been a 360, and I don't know what else to say, because guess what? You've not only cost yourself, you cost a whole generation of quarterbacks and football players guaranteed contract. Because like I said, I'm convinced had he performed, we would have seen a whole new precedent set on guaranteed contracts, because the precedent was set with him. They gave him a fully guaranteed contract. Can you imagine if he would have performed and Lamar Jackson would have went back and asked for a fully guaranteed contract, he probably would have got it. Can you imagine the precedent that would have set for Joe Burrow? He probably would have got it. Can you imagine the precedent that would have set for Josh Allen, and especially for Patrick Mahomes, and for this next generation of quarterbacks that you are seeing? The path you take is not your own. The path you take is not your own. When you screw up, you screw a lot of people that's lining up behind you. When you step out of line, you cut down a lot of people that's standing behind you, waiting for an opportunity. That I guarantee you, had he performed, Lamar Jackson would have had 3 times that contract. Maybe even he would have had that. He would have had a $300 million contract guaranteed on the slab. He was the former league MVP. Then came back the next year and won an MVP. And went to an AFC championship.
And then last year, almost got into another conference championship game and almost won MVP.
Exactly. So you mean to tell me that he didn't deserve a contract? That he didn't deserve a fully guaranteed contract? He did. But because Deshaun Watson was out here acting a fool, he couldn't get one. You just validated to NFL owners why quarterbacks and every other player do not need guaranteed contracts, because you're not going to perform. You don't have any incentive to perform. Had you conducted yourself with class and dignity and came in and do what you're supposed to do, even during the injury, even when you got injured, if you was performing the way you were supposed to, if you were the model citizen the way you were supposed to be doing, guess what? You would have set a precedent that would have lasted forever. We would have never had to worry about any signing bonuses, because it would have been $300 million, and that would have been that. NFL contract would have been just like the NBA contracts. But because you didn't do what you're supposed to, you cost so many people that was behind you. So I have to say heel, not just because of the actions that you did, but the actions that affected the people that was behind you, especially when it came to Lamar, because he was up for his next contract. Had you not been acting a fool and been doing what you were supposed to, he probably would have got a fully guaranteed contract. And that would have set a new precedent for the NFL. And a lot of players nowadays wouldn't have to worry about making incentives because their contracts would have been guaranteed. But you made it so where the owner said, okay, you see how this guy is acting. How do we know these other guys ain't going to do the same thing once they get a guaranteed contract?
Let's not forget the recent comments from Jimmy Haslam.
Yeah, they openly admitted that they whiffed on it. And like I said, with that comment, that's adding to it. Guess what? It's going to be a long time before we see another guy with a fully guaranteed contract, if we ever see it again.
Not to mention, Champ, what you also, for Deshaun Watson, you made Baker Mayfield look a hell of a lot good. Because, again, to your point, Champ, they wanted an adult in the locker room. But you bring in Deshaun Watson, given his off-the-field issues.
Yeah, they wanted an adult in the room and brought in Mr. Marcus, but I digress.
BRF.
How do you follow that? How do you follow that last line, bro? Like, how do you follow that? I'm like, he was nailing it. Then he got to that in the last line. I'm like, damn.
Apparently,
I gotta follow this now.
Deshaun Watson has not been following the advice of one Bill Clinton. But hey.
Mr. Touch My Body at his finest. Mr. Touch My Body at his finest. Bless it. But anyway, he is most definitely a heel, and it's really like the way his fortunes have turned since he left Houston up until, like, current day, tearing his Achilles, rupturing his Achilles, missing the season. Like, he's like, fans were happy that he got hurt. Levels of like fans, just fans being happy that not having to see him or deal with him. It's a shame. It's a shame too, because Deshaun Watson was like on the come up as far as like the young new prospects at the quarterback position, and just being able to play within being not only being able to play within the frame of an offense, but being able to scramble and make plays, and kind of furthering this evolution of the quarterback position, with the quarterbacks being able to run and also with him and everything he did at Clemson, winning, helping them win a natty. I mean, just you would you would look like, and you would think with like the accomplishments that he had before, you might well say before the 2021 season, like the accomplishments that he already had before the 2021 season, you look and it's like, oh yeah, I can get behind a dude like him. But just like, I don't know, is his fall from grace needs to be studied, because I had
They will do
him.
a 30 for 30 on this.
Oh, they should easily. And I remember because like I Lord, it's a shame. It's a shame what's happened to him. But I mean, it's kind of, I hate to say he's kind of put himself in this situation, but when you look at the trouble that he's in, when you look at that, just I don't know, just
Do you know how
and he, and
do
he
you know how bad you got to be for Deshaun Watson? I mean, hell, you're making Ben Roethlisberger look like a damn saint.
tell me about it. And his crime is nowhere. And his crime allegedly is nowhere near as easy to get away with, easy to get in trouble with. So it's just I don't know. It's one of those things you don't really know what to say. It's just it's a that right there is just a bad situation all around. But like I said, Deshaun Watson really has himself to blame. I mean, even with the injuries that he's suffered, even with the time that he's missed, take some, just kind of take some time to reflect and kind of appreciate where you are. Like you didn't have to be here, and you're just this like $230 million fully guaranteed, and it's like you're not even close to paying the results of that thing. You're not even close, and it's crazy. You hope things can pick up, but you would hope he would kind of get himself together, but you really don't know what he's going to do at this point. And with all those allegations and the accusations and all that stuff, it makes it hard for really anybody to cheer him on, because it's just I don't know. It's just
Well, in all
you want him to
seriousness,
do. Yeah, you want him to do better, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, I want you to do better, but goodness gracious, man, look at how far you've fallen. You shouldn't have fell. You should have never fallen this far.
to add on to Champ's point, remember that it even got so bad to a point you even saw kids with them signs. So that's how bad it was for them at that time. Nowadays, Deshaun Watson, look, it is the butt of jokes. Because anytime when you think of Deshaun Watson, the first thing that's going to come to your mind is, to your point, BRF, Mr. Touch My Body, or the massage parlors, or hell, does he need to talk to Bill Clinton for advice and for helping him stay away from them women? Do you need to talk to Diddy? Is that what he needs to do? So that's how. So it's looked that bad for him, and it's without question the worst trade in football or in sports,
Yeah,
because you gave up 3 first-round picks, and Houston was able to get CJ Stroud, their franchise quarterback, a franchise defensive player who'll be in the discussion for defensive player of the year in the years to come, Will Anderson Jr. I think I don't remember who they drafted with that pick. I think it was Derek Stingley Jr. or something.
Then they got Tank Dell.
Then they got Tank Dell, and they acquired you for 200, and they paid you $230 million guaranteed. Meanwhile, your predecessor, Baker Mayfield, has had back-to-back Pro Bowl caliber seasons and has led his team to the NFC South title twice in consecutive seasons. So I mean, it's unfortunately for the Deshaun Watson thing, it's a tragedy. It really is, because for a quarterback who had a lot of promise, to see him take an epic fall from grace, there will be an ESPN documentary on this, or some documentary at this at some point. It will. That's just that's just how it is. But go ahead, champ.
We can only hope that it's just the Cleveland effect.
All right.
We can only hope that it's just a Cleveland pick because we saw a lot of guys go to Cleveland and it just not work out because the pressure and the quote unquote curses, the quote unquote curses that the Cleveland sports is up under. Outside of Jim Brown, LeBron James, we can only hope for that young man to go somewhere, get some coaching, get his mind and his heart right, and for him to at least redeem himself by making a Pro Bowl. And just saying, you know what, it was just the environment. I just didn't see myself flourishing there. The pressure was too great. Because remember, Houston, he was a late first round pick. The expectations were not necessarily there. When they got him in Cleveland, it was they brought him there to win a Super Bowl. Because they felt like they had enough talent in order to get there. So I'm hoping for his redemption story if he has one. I'm hoping that he can go somewhere and have a redemption story in order to redeem himself. But thus far,
It's highly unlikely.
You'll be surprised. I mean, if Greg Hardy can get a chance with Dallas and we've seen a lot of guys get second chances in the NFL. A lot of guys. I hope that he goes somewhere and redeems himself. Because if he doesn't, he's going to be the butt of jokes for years to come. I mean, at least with the Herschel Walker thing, they at least got to the playoffs. They at least got to an NFC championship game.
Mm-hmm. You're not getting anywhere, champ. Hell, you couldn't even get a government cheese sandwich for all I care.
Yeah.
All right.